Well, Mark Ferguson is the editor of the LabourList, a blog which supports the Labour Party. Joins me now in the studio. Good to see you tonight, Mark. So, a stay of execution for Ed Miliband.
I think what we've seen today is the usual noises off, perhaps from some of the more discontented members of the Parliamentary Labour Party. I do think that what Andy said there is correct. I think that there is no sort of organised campaign for a leadership campaign.
But if it's just a load of noise, as you put it, why did he feel compelled to make a television statement? If it wasn't a big deal, he wouldn't do it, right?
Look, I mean, if Ed Miliband had today gone on television and people had asked him about this and he refused to comment on it, then there would be a story saying Ed Miliband is refusing to accept what's happening. There is clearly some level of discontent within the Parliamentary Labour Party. If Labour was down in the high 20s, low 30s, 6 months before an election, and there wasn't a level of discontent in the Labour Party, that would be more worrying.
And his popularity rating is below the popularity rating of the Labour Party. What is he doing wrong?
Well, I think what Ed Miliband needs to do is to stake out a clear position about what he wants to be as a leader, the kind of Prime Minister that he wants to be, and the kind of country that he wants to lead.
The country is going to general election in a few months'
There is always more time. There is always more that anyone can do, and it's very easy for people like me to come on TV and say Ed Miliband should be doing more of this, more of that. What we are now in is a 5-year Parliament, and I think what we're going to be looking at for in the next 6 months, and preferably the sooner the better, is Ed Miliband to stake out very clearly what he would do as Prime Minister. He's done a lot of that already, but what I hear when I speak to Labour activists, what I hear when I go out campaigning for the Labour Party, is people saying, I don't know what you stand for. That's a very real problem for the Labour Party, but I think also for politics in general.
Is it also a case that there's no one else to ride to the rescue to replace him because there's no other candidates?
Nobody's talking about any other potential leadership candidates coming forward because
there aren't any.
Well, there aren't any, slightly because there is no desire, particularly to replace Ed Miliband. People look at some of the other potential candidates and they say Ed Miliband is perhaps the right person still to be leading the Labour Party, but also there doesn't seem to be any desire of anyone else to come forward.
If Labour don't win the next general election, will he still be Labour leader?
I don't think it's feasible for anyone to stay on as leader if they've lost the general election these days. I think that would be pretty tough.